Because this means that a lot of you will have the floor, and maybe it's good that I stop now, just saying that there's so much ideas, and one of the ideas might be, Madam President, you start afterwards with the working group, so that, in the following weeks and months, to prepare the next summit, and that we can go for an action plan. But therefore, you need your meeting that you will have now. Good luck with it. Thank you for your contribution, and good luck to the panel. Thank you. To the panel.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. President. The delegation from Bahrain would like to give you a token of appreciation. They will come up here, and while we change the panel, please you come up here and do this little ceremony. Thank you so much.
Sorry, Silvana. Excuse me, here. I am here facing you. Here, Silvana.
Can you say the number of your seat? Because I can't, it's so much action in the room. Oh. Okay. So, ladies, we now should make the most of the time for our discussions between each other. Because let me just say, for me, these last 2.5 days have been an incredible journey. All the contributions we had, the stories we heard, the personal experiences we shared. I think, for me, the main message was, it doesn't matter, as a woman in Parliament, which part of the world you come from, which political party you come from. What's important that that there are things that unite us and that really are global patterns, global concerns. And if I may say, a lot of us had to do fights, had to overcome barriers, to be in Parliament, to be where we are now. And a lot of us always thought these are maybe our individual stories, because it's me. But talking to all the sisters in the parliaments, for me the strong message was actually these things happen to all of us. All of us are treated differently because we are women. And to see that these are maybe patterns which give an important and a strong reason to have this forum, to have this Women in Parliament's Global Forum, and to really begin the journey now. This is something that I personally take from there. That's why I would love to discuss with you ideas. What are the important issues that we should focus on? What are the structural elements? What kind of meetings do we want to see? What kind of activities do we want to see? What are the priorities we want to focus on in the next few years? And I would like to do that in parallel. Women are good in doing two things at the same time. So, on the one hand, all of you have white sheets of paper on your tables. If you could write down your ideas on this, and my incredible hard-working team, you see them with the pink scarves, you met them all in the last few days, they will go regularly through the ranks and collect these pieces of paper. And then I would like you to take the floor, say where you're from, and just bring out your ideas, what is important in this forum, and then we try to structure it and do a good follow-up, and also I will let you know the things that we have prepared. But first I really would like to hear from you what your thoughts are after these days, after this incredible meeting. Never before so many women in parliaments from so many different countries have come together to discuss with each other. And I really get to like this hammer, I have to say. I might bring it home for my 3 kids when I need to make silence at the dinner table, as I heard in other parts of the world also an issue. So, ladies, please, your comments, and I will try to take as many people from the floor as possible. The first, over there, please.
Muy buenos días.
Good morning. I'm Carmen Omonte. I'm the first Vice President of the Peruvian Congress and also the National Secretary for Politics in my party. And I'm really grateful to you for the invitation. We've heard all the panelists doing such a great job now over these days. And I think this opportunity can really be an opportunity for us to commit in this forum to having a mechanism whereby we can share all the different draft legislation and all the initiatives that we have presented as members of Congress and members of Parliament, linking to interesting subjects like quotas, for example. In 2011 I submitted a suggestion regarding quotas for private and public companies in Peru. And you've probably done similar things, perhaps on corruption, on the economy, on education projects, health projects, development projects and reproductive health projects as well. I think women in our parliaments and in our countries are really contributing in an amazing way, but it's very important that these initiatives should be shared amongst us. So maybe we should put that information onto our website so we can share the information and move ahead and learn about the different contributions we're making in our countries. Another issue I wanted to raise with you is the work that we have to do within our political parties, because before we became members of Congress, first and foremost we have to wage a really important battle within our political parties. Yesterday we heard from Jodie Williams and the question was, are our fellow party members our allies or not? I think, yes, some of them are, but not necessarily the majority. So we have to do more to make sure that our party members, our fellow party members, are properly representing women, and we have more and more women fellow party members. Not necessarily with quota mechanisms, but also with rotation mechanisms, because we've got, as Ushi said, to aspire to more representation, not just in our legislative work, but also in terms of the cultural transition that has to take place. Because the success of a politician or a businessman or an academic is really comes down to the success of a family as well. But if you have a female academic or businesswoman or politician, then you might actually be damaging the family. That's at least the perception culturally that exists in many of our countries, and we've got to combat that and do away with that perception. Finally, I think all of us here have to work hard to try to get closer to positions of power. We have to, as women, strive to attain more power, and if we achieve that, we'll have more balance in our society, there'll be more welfare, and there'll be greater legitimacy in our society as well, because let's face it, we represent 50% of the population. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much. Now the lady, I can't really see the number of your seat. I think it's 242. Yes, please, you.
Ça c'est les mots. Voilà. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. I'm from Senegal. My name is Miss Aouga Cissé. I'm the first Vice Chair of the Senegalese Parliament. I'm here on a delegation with 6 members of the Parliament, including the President of the Commission and parliamentary groups. I'd like to talk to you about our experience in Senegal promoting women. In Senegal, for a long time, women were trodden underfoot, and in 2011 we managed to bring forward a law on parity in public authorities. A draft bill for parity between men and women in all elected and semi-elected posts was brought forward, and in 2011 this went before the National Assembly. We have 84 women out of 150 members of parliament. So this draft bill on parity was brought forward, but we also have other legislation in Senegal. The Commissioner for Police is a woman in Senegal. We also have the President of the Economic, Social and Environmental Committee, who's a woman. The struggle goes on. We'd like to see an absolute parity in nominated posts between men and women. We'd also like to have a law on parental authority. And what I'd like to say to the people here is that we need to continue to wage this struggle, particularly because that's the way policy making is moved forward. It's through the political arena that women can wage this struggle to get equality in politics, and then the achievements that we attain can be considerable. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. Maintenant, je crois votre...
Thank you very much. Now I think your neighbour wants to take the floor. 241? Place 241, please.
White paper. Yes.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. First of all, we want, as the Israeli delegation here, to thank you for this invitation. Our delegation includes 4 members of Knesset, 2 are here and 2 others in other room, and me as Secretary General of the Knesset. The Knesset is the Israeli Parliament, and I am the 7th Secretary General, but the first to be a woman. I take this opportunity to share with you that at the beginning of this month in the city of Haifa in Israel, we held, or the financial community held, a conference in the city of Haifa, as I told you, where they talked about women's empowerment with the representatives of the business sector from all over the world. They published a declaration of intent till 2015. I call you to join us as female parliamentarians to meet together in 2014 in Israel, and we will be more than happy to host such an event and conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now the lady with the blue jacket, 110, please.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizer of such an important conference. We really got a great chance to exchange experiences with our fellow parliamentarian women colleagues from different countries. Now, I'd like to comment. I'm Nada Hafad, member of the Shura Council, the appointed chamber in Bahrain, Kingdom of Bahrain. And I was also the former Minister of Health as the first woman minister in the cabinet. I'd like to share a point here while, in our experience, while bridging the gap, trying to reach the ultimate goal, which we all want to reach, having men and women equally presented in the parliament to represent the society. I think we really should look out at our culture in every individual country while doing that. There is no one equation for all of the countries. Now in Bahrain, with all of the advancement we have in terms of education and health and rights, but we still face problems in the election. Wherever there is election, like all of the countries around the world, with differences between us, but election is a bit a problem for a woman to reach in general in our countries. Now we do have that problem equally like many countries around. Based on that, our king, His Majesty the King, came up with this bicameral system in Bahrain, 2 chambers, 1 appointed fully, 1 elected fully, equal numbers. Now we know that parliaments ultimately should have all elected. That's the best one day in the future. But right now, that system, this system we're applying suits us more. I'll tell you why. Because when the election happens and based on the elected members there, especially the first terms, let me say, there are very few women who can reach. Even the last election, which was, compared to the previous ones, much better, 4 made it out of 40 as women, but we can't really guarantee like many countries around. Now, when you come to the appointed chamber, His Majesty the King appoints the members based on their qualification and experiences. And he really looks at the election results, which means if not many number of women are elected, he increases the number of women in the parliament in the appointed chamber. Now, both have the responsibility to legislate for the country, especially. Not only this, in fact, when there are different specialities not represented in the elected chamber, not many of medical doctors, not many of, let's say, lawyers, different fields of experiences, he really balances that in the appointed chamber. Not only about women and men issue, but also the specialities in different fields. Even the ethnic minority, which have difficulty to reach in the elected chamber, they have a very good chance to be appointed in the appointed chamber. I'm repeating, that's not the best at the end, but this suits our countries, our culture right now. At the end, we want a balanced system which helps the country to take off, to implement the vision of a society. That's what we want at the end. So every country should really come up with a system trying step by step to reach that goal at the end. So this is our experience in Bahrain, which is really functioning very well so far. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Now the lady on 212. Yes, you please, with the grey jacket.
We're members of the Mexican delegation. I'm a member of the Senate, and I just wanted to tell you that next Tuesday we are going to, in the Republic's Senate, adopt a very historic initiative. Because first of all, we've got the idea of re-election of legislators for the first time, the re-election of municipal presidents and so on. But another very important thing is the following. I'm a member of the opposition party, Centre-Right Party, but the President of the Republic introduced changes to the federal procedure law, and we're going to change our code now so that we are going to have a 50-50% parity for all legislators in the country. So this is a really historic initiative for us in Mexico, and in the next few days, next week, we're going to be adopting that initiative. And then we also have an awful lot of experience of Parliament, and we believe that the most important thing is to implement legislation, but also for us all to be working together irrespective of political stripe, so that we are able to promote together women's equality. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations. We look forward to the 50-50 parliament that we've worked for, also struggled for here. Those who haven't signed yet, in the back of the room, 50-50 also in European Parliament with your help. Thank you. Now, number 89, please. Yes.
Gracias.
Thank you. Firstly, I'd like to thank the organisers for the invitation to be here with you. We can see that in the struggle that we have to wage to get parity with men, logically we have to occupy public authority spaces. In Honduras, where I'm from, I'm president of the Committee for Women, and we're struggling to get 40% of women in the Congress in 2013, and this has been achieved thanks to the President managing to put this on the agenda, and next year we should be approving the 50% parity. But this is a struggle which we are trying to wage in order to achieve that positive result. And I'd like to say here to my sisters that the battle cannot be given up. We have to make sure that we don't just cede ground to men. We don't want men to see us as enemies, but we have to make sure that we're occupying these spaces in order to ensure the future of women around the world. And I think that is a noble objective. And everything that we've heard from the women who've struggled from other countries, as in my country, we went to elections on Sunday. We don't yet know exactly how many women deputies will come out of that, but it is important for the feminist movement to gain strength and to get more women representing us in government. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and yes, keep up the fight, indeed. Behind you, just immediately.
Me? Or? Okay.
No, number 117 and then
all right. So I'm next.
You're next. Yeah.
Okay.
First, you're the lady in front of you,
okay.
and then you're next.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. I'm Maudine Tamboué from the European Network of Migrant Women, based here in Brussels and from DRC. I'd like only to point out what I want to share for the women parliamentarians that are all here in the place, because I represent an NGO, which is the civil society, the women leaders from the civil society. And for us, mentoring is a key element if we want to have good women that really know what it takes, what it is, what are the costs in the parliament and in the political career. Innovation. We shouldn't be afraid of innovation when doing this. When wanting women to come on board, we should be open to new ideas, because that's how we will take on new generation to take the politics. And firstly, if we talk global, we need to advocate for more mobility, safe mobility of women. It is a shame that when we talk of women from the south being mobile, they die in the sea in Lampedusa when they come from Africa. They die pregnant with their child. For what? Getting a better life. We are all fighting for a better life for us. And if you have to decide for a better life for us, please, mobility. Immigration shouldn't be a source of fear. It's a richness.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, Ms. Mansour, please.
Yes. Is the mic on here? I'm Dr. Sabiha Mansoor, and I'm here as the Vice Chancellor of one of the largest and oldest women universities of Asia, the Lahore College Women University. I'm extremely grateful to Silvana for having invited me, and to all her team for having looked after us. I'm so glad finally somebody's thought about how to get there. And Silvana, you're the bright one, and your team here, who thought about including very quietly and gently into a corner, into the backspace, what is called education. And I think that yesterday we really went into the Harris in the Maze, but despite the Harris in the Maze, I think we had a full room of wonderful heads of institutions, colleges, universities, and even students of your team who made some wonderful contributions yesterday. Next time we hope that it will be forefront. And I just want to say it's a very important message to everybody here. Pakistan is going through a state of turmoil. We have lost 50,000 civilians since, women and children, since the last 2002 war against terror. And we are living amongst a lot of fear, the women in particular. But I just want to say, in a country of 180 million, 90 million are men and 90 million are women. And the only place where we actually have gender parity is the women universities and colleges. In higher education, women are exactly 50% and men are 50%. But after that, what happens is that they drop out. Some of them drop out because of marriage, babies, in-laws, patriarchal society, etc. And I think the great change, the winds of change, the revolution that we're looking for will come from the corridors of these universities, where change should happen, the transformation should happen. so that families don't remain in conflict. But gradually these women get economically empowered and socially empowered and then politically empowered to come into the parliaments and change the state of women in Pakistan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. And actually, the tribute goes to one of my team members who is who studies in a women's college, and it was from her own experience and saying that how many women move on from a women's college into important political positions where there must be a link. So then we worked on that, and that's how it got onto the program. But thanks for coming. Thanks to all the academics coming here and joining this experience. Thanks to all of you. Now, let's move on. I'm sorry to calling you numbers, but as there are no nameplates, the way to identify you is the numbers in front of your seat. But the lady in the pink jacket with the computer, please.
Yes, hello all the participants. Thank you very much and special organizers and women in parliaments for organizing this conference, and I'm delighted to participate. My name is Kazaka. I'm representing and I am a member of parliament of Latvia. Latvia is one of 28 states of the European Union, and we are located in East Europe. I just briefly would say that Latvia is invited to process and become an OECD member, and therefore I thank all of countries who supported us to become an OECD member, because Latvia still has one of the highest Gini coefficients and our state is quite poor. We just come out from economic crisis, and we are looking forward to adopt the best practices for good governance, for welfare and gender equality procedures for our nation to hold on. Myself, I'm really pro-quotas, and I really support this issue of quota 50 to 50. And I have signed it. Please sign all the members as well. And the other thing is I would like to put in awareness that in the European Union at the moment we actually are in danger of our women's reproductive rights, because pro-life is getting very, very strong here, and people who are supporting pro-choice for women to decide what to do with their lives. And I really ask for EU parliamentarians and for EU national parliament representatives to be in good cooperation with European Parliamentary Forum on Population and Development, who really strike to force these reproductive rights of women globally as well in the European Union. So please, and thank you very much for this conference.
Thank you so much. If I may make a suggestion, we have a lot of women who want to take the floor, and I'm delighted about that, because I think it's so interesting to hear each other's experiences and choices. But if you could also always make a comment on what you would like to see as the next steps for the Women in Parliament's Global Forum. Yeah, I mean, it's very important for us to hear what you're doing in your country and what achievements have been made, because this gives inspiration, ideas to others. But I would also like, if any way possible, we receive an incredible number of suggestions here in writing, but maybe if you could also say again where you would like the forum to go. So now it's the lady in the golden jacket, number 209, please.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm from the Mexico delegation. I'd just like to express thanks for all of the contributions to this forum. We really feel like we've been rejuvenated and have new impetus now. And I think we can all learn from the progress that has been made, the obstacles that have been overcome. And we would like to support this idea of quotas to move to proper gender parity, not just in ordinary legislation but also in our constitution. And we want to be able to legislate on the idea of political violence, because it should be seen as a crime, and it also is an obstacle to access for people who wish to be part of political life and hold political functions. So the idea of political violence then. Then we would also like to have the email addresses of everybody here so that we can have a proper exchange of views and good practices. And we hope to be able to come back then in a year's time in a more homogeneous way and having made more progress. There are an awful lot of subjects to address, and we have to work on them all to continue improving equality and fighting against discrimination. So thank you to all of you, and a very safe trip back home to all of you from our delegation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and courage, please. You, and yes, with the red jacket.
Merci, Madame.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you first, and the first more into the front, and then lady with the pink headscarf. Okay, please.
Bonjour.
Yes, good morning. I'm Tayati, Mrs. Tayati. I'm a member of the Algerian Parliament, the National Parliamentary Assembly there. We believe that if God has created men and women, then it's because he wanted us to build a balanced and serene society together, not because he wanted men to rule over women. And in Algeria, you have to acknowledge the fact that we have made some progress. There is now free healthcare available. There's also free education available. And very recently we now also have introduced a quota system, which has meant that women are now able to participating in the political decision-making process. But what we're worried about at the moment is the fact that women are completely absent in economic terms. They're not on the economic stage at all. They don't participate in financial institutions, and that's not because women are not intelligent, but rather we are victims, like all women here, of archaic social models which still call into question the competence of women. So I would like there to be bigger meetings being held, bigger than this kind of meeting here, so that we have a proper exchange of views, so that we can work together on mechanisms which in the future would enable women to properly compete at that level and have full confidence in what they do and be totally uninhibited and be rid of this idea that men are somehow better than women. Now, in Algeria, 65% of success rates at university are women students who achieve them. So that suggests that women are intelligent, more so than women in a way, and we need to push ahead with this. We need to have a space for these views to be voiced. We need to have an international network available so that we can find immediate solutions to these problems, and we can move ahead and allow women to actually play a role in this sector, which is currently not representing women at all.
Merci, merci beaucoup, merci beaucoup. Et maintenant.
Thank you very much. And now 2 rows behind you. Yes, go ahead.
Merci, Madame.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, firstly, allow me to introduce myself. Nimo Boulan from Djibouti. I'd just like to congratulate you, Ms. Koch-Meran. Hopefully I've pronounced your name correctly. Thank you very much for this initiative, organising this annual summit of women in parliaments. Now, for 3 days, we have heard various different areas in which the countries represented here have made progress. Some countries have managed to achieve parity. Other countries have achieved 30% in terms of national representation as set out by the United Nations as a benchmark. Others are still below that 30%. In my country, Djibouti, we have managed to achieve this thanks to the quota law. We've actually achieved 12.7%. That's not very high, but women in Djibouti have spent more or less a decade trying to improve the level of national representation, and it's only since 2003 that we've actually had access to the hemicycle. Now, I'd just like to talk to you about the difficulties women have, particularly women in informal trade. In my country, many women are responsible for all of the informal trading structures that exist, to feed their children, to feed families, but unfortunately they don't manage to create wealth in the same way that men do. And I believe that the countries of the North have a great responsibility to the women in the South. Now, the question that I wanted to raise is... The speaker is cut off. Madam Chair, what responsibility does the North have to help women in the South break the glass ceiling and to help us get a little higher? Now, I have a proposal to make for you. Given that we are in Parliament and we are working on legislation, we have some technical difficulties. Now, what I think we can do is continue this platform and make it autonomous. Make us autonomous in terms of access to resources, but also access to opportunities. Thank you very much, and I'd just like to restate my thanks to you.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, almost at the back, almost at the last row. Yes, you please, madam. Yes, thank you very much indeed. I'm Angelique Goma, a member of the Gabon National Assembly and chair of the Environment and Sustainable Development Committee. Our delegation is being chaired by the 6th Vice President of the National Assembly, and it is made up of members of the majority and of the opposition parties. I'd like to thank you for organising this event, and I'd like to congratulate all of the panellists for the clarity with which they express themselves, and also for the information that they have given us. This event is going to be touching all of us, I'm sure, and I think the most important moment will be the moment where we draft conclusions and recommendations following this event, and that is why I would like to make the following proposal. This event should be taking place every 2 years here in Belgium, which will mean that female parliamentarians will have an opportunity to meet. But let me also recall the fact that conflicts are not always about armed wars and conflicts. We've had some very interesting exchanges here, and we wanted to share in the joy of our sisters who have been nominated, but unfortunately the language barrier here has meant that we haven't been able to understand everything that has been said during these exchanges. Particularly at the working groups, for example. There we would have liked to have been more active and participate, but unfortunately there was this language barrier that prevented us from participating. That is why I would like, if I may, to make a proposal. Perhaps in future it would be desirable if in the invitations that we fill out to come here, we would be able to choose which language we would be able to speak, and also send members here who would be able to make the most of this trip, because obviously it's our countries paying for these trips, and obviously we need to realise the fact that French is losing its status in terms of the language spoken at international conferences today, and we also have to deal with that problem. Madam Chairman, we also think that we should be strengthening the networks available, and that is why we would like to welcome the role of the WIP here today, because it's doing so much to help female parliamentarians in Central Africa. We went to Dublin, for example, where we had an exchange with the European Union regarding women's issues, and we've been elsewhere too, and in the future we will travel further afield. So we think it's very good that when it comes to capacity building, that we should take into account the specificity of certain states, because today some countries need more help and resources in terms of education than others. Another country might need more help in terms of healthcare support. So what are the strategies that we can adopt to help young women make further progress in the world of science, for example, help women into the labour market, for instance, without overlooking the problem of maternity, because we often forget the fact that because of maternity leave, women are not able to participate in the professional sector as much as they might. We've also talked a lot about conflict here. We've talked about violence. But apart from the structures that we have, what about psychological assistance and other kind of health assistance? What about that? We've heard that there is help available at international level for governments who are interested in helping women become more economically emancipated. And we hope that there won't be account taken of country classifications in the future in this regard, because unfortunately middle income countries are being treated differently compared to poorer countries now, and we hope that the WTO will take account of that in future, because it's a problem. And we also hope that we will be able to make the most of all of this information when we go back to our countries. Thanks once again for this excellent initiative.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
An extremely long list of speakers. I did put you all down, but we have to go obviously one after one, and I try to keep the order of people raising their hands, okay? So now it's on place number 190, behind the lady with the yellow headscarf, please. Oui, oui, yes, yes, yes.
Oui.
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 À vous.
Bonjour.
Good morning, everybody.
Zulflaoun dans ma langue maternelle.
Good morning. I've just expressed myself in my mother tongue. Now, I'm very happy to be participating in this global forum for women in parliaments. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ms. Ersa Djousa. I'm elected to the Algerian Parliament, and I'm here with the Algerian delegation. I'm very proud to say that I was not elected behind a number of men. I was actually at the top of a list, and all of the women voted in through this process were voted in through a quota. Nonetheless, there are activist women in Algeria that are taking on the political role of shaping Algeria, and I'm also very proud to say that I am an activist within a party whose leader is a woman. And in this party, we have established the principle of equality between men and women as a fundamental principle. Those who don't accept the principle of equality between men and women are not welcome in our party. It's also important to say that women's participation in decision-making processes is extremely important. But what is also important to express and to say is that the quota system, which came up earlier, is not straightforward. I'd like to give you my opinion on that. The quota system should not be envisaged as a definitive solution to this matter. I think if we use that as a solution, we would be falling into the trap of having members of parliament that cannot represent women or struggle to achieve genuine change in society for women. So as far as I'm concerned, the quota system is a last resort. Now, this is not something that we should adopt, in my opinion, because we risk using that as a standard, and that will then play against women. They will not then be part of the legislative process and part of the decision-making process as they should be. We have the capacity and we have the intelligence to wage the struggle on our own behalf and to get ourselves elected into positions of power. Also, I'd like to explain how things work in our country, where women don't have the resources with which to go out and do politics. I think we need to struggle to achieve better resources, to attribute more resources to women so that they can take part in political life, so that they can be part of organisations and associations and so on. Let me just use this as an example. Can I continue? It's extremely interesting, but we have 19 other speakers, so yes, just a quick example. In my country, the idea always came up of creating municipal creches because it wouldn't be expensive. It would be a state way of helping workers put their children there while working for the state. And also it can be an obstacle for women who are working, who don't have the money to put their children into a private creche. What that can mean is that women have to go back home rather than taking up a paid position because they can't afford to pay for the creche. So that's a good example of how we can make a change. Thank you very much for that committed speech.
We have so many of you who would like to take the floor, and I think it's very, very interesting to listen to all the different contributions. So may I ask you to limit yourselves to 2 minutes each, then we can, even if we go a bit over, you can listen still to everybody. I hope that is okay for you to try to stay with 2 minutes. Next one is Wanda, please. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Let me first join all of those who congratulated you on initiating in the first place and then organising this forum so well. Many thanks and congratulations. Secondly, I wanted to share with you a great and exciting news from Poland very briefly, that next week we are starting discussion on parity and zipper law. So keep your fingers crossed for us. Hopefully we will succeed. And finally, I wanted to respond to your call on concrete proposals, what to do next. And while it is obvious that the forum should be continued somewhere and at some point, I also would like to suggest something else, which has to do with using other spaces where women are gathering to organise maybe smaller but still significant meetings. So first natural forum will be IPU, Interparliamentary Union. Many of us are members of that forum, so maybe we could consider organising a session during the forum. Secondly, very soon we will be celebrating Beijing plus 20, and that will be another opportunity for women from all over the world, including parliamentarians, to take active participation in it. So that may be another space for us to consider using. And finally, maybe we could use more of ICT using website to inform ourselves about news and successes, so that we could stay connected and know what's happening at the current moment. Thank you, Madam Chair, and I hope we will continue working together.
Thank you so much, and it was exactly 2 minutes. Congratulations on that. Next lady from Bahrain, I think. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I am Aisha Mubarak from Shura Council, which means the Senate from Bahrain. As my colleagues Ariel mentioned, that it is appointed chamber. Just I will be really very quick, short and precise. I have 3 suggestions for the forum. You know that there is a saying, if there is a will, there is a way. And we have the will as parliamentarians, and there is a way, which is the forum. So on this occasion, I would like to suggest that we come up with a network for mentoring, because we have a lot of experienced parliamentarians here. So we can share the experience and pass our knowledge to the potential women parliamentarians. The second suggestion, that why we don't have women goodwill ambassadors, or we can call them women angels of peace, where they can go to hot spaces and where can they promote women's rights and human rights also. And last, I also would like to suggest that women can have also a network for human rights, only for women's issues. So this is all my suggestion, and I hope that this will be taken into consideration. And thank you all for this occasion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for these really concrete proposals. That's very, very good to move on and to engage into concrete action. Thank you. So now it's you, please.
Vale, muchas gracias ante todo.
Thank you very much indeed, and above all, congratulations to you for the organisation of this event and for having managed to put together this event with so many female MEPs who are fighting for women's rights. That's great. I'm Sylvia Bonnet from Andorra. We have a parity parliament, but we didn't have a quota law. Nevertheless, we've got our 50-50 parity because there are so many women in Andorra who for many years now have been fighting really hard for that equality and access to politics. But also I just want to underline the fact that we do have some deficits that we're running too. We have difficulties, particularly economically speaking. We have certain roles in the decision-making sphere. For example, when it comes to the banks and in managerial roles, there aren't enough women. And also when it comes to government, we don't have enough women, because at the moment we have 9 ministers, and of them only 2 of them are ministers. I was the Health and Social Affairs and Labour Minister at the time, but at the time we only had 2 female ministers as well, so we've also got an awful lot of work still to do. One of the ideas that have really marked me here is this idea of economic development, and to try to push ahead and recognise the important role that women play economically, developmentally and politically. And we've got to do more to improve the role women play, to improve our society as a whole, if we really want to have a society underpinned by equality. When it comes to the quota legislation, at the moment we are having a debate on this ourselves. We have some people who think we can achieve this without quotas, but I think we do need quotas if we want to ensure we achieve our goal. Otherwise we could backslide and regress. And also, if we have this kind of quota, it will push us forward. But it's not just about the political sphere. We've got to address other areas too, the economic and social domains as well, when it comes to these quotas. So I really hope that all of this good work is going to continue. I hope we're going to continue having these kinds of events, because it's a great way for people to contribute with their ideas, and everybody goes back home with really positive experiences, and they can feed that back into the debate nationally. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Please. You.
Thank you very much. My name is Elizabeth Ongoro Masha from the Kenyan Senate. I will not repeat what has been stated by my sisters. Suggested way forward. The Women in Parliament's Global Forum is a very good idea, but I suggest that we move forward. If we want feedback, we want implementation strategies of our resolutions, we want to have progress reports, and we want to address the unique challenges in specific regions. Maybe the best would be for the Global Forum to have chapters. For example, continental chapters, where we have then women in parliament, European chapter, the African chapter, the Asian Women in Parliament chapter, the Australian Women in Parliament chapter. When we meet here during the Global Forum, it will be a follow-up of the continental meetings where women in parliaments from the different continents have already met, have got their strategies, have got their papers and presentations on their unique problems, and when we come to the global forum, then we present our cases. I am of the opinion that even the continental chapters could then even synthesize further to have regional chapters where, for example, the African Women in Parliamentary Association chapter would then have the East African chapter, the Southern African chapter, West African chapter, and we meet together and transit as we are sent to this. Secondly, I think that this platform should now engage at another level, as was suggested before. Let us have a forum where this global forum then now meets with the sitting presidents, with prime ministers, and those in decision making to ensure that we implement our strategies. Thirdly, and I believe that we already have a permanent secretariat. If not, and if it is already in existence, let us strengthen it, let us fortify it, so that it also has a department that collects specific data from different continents, from different regions, and from different countries. When we make presentations here, you can then check our presentations against the scorecard to ensure that what we are presenting here is the right position from our countries, because you are also even talking to sitting ministers. Some of the women presenters here are afraid of going back home only to lose their position, or to be taken out, to lose their position as having been nominated or presenting the government position, which could be a bit different from the reality on the ground, on what is happening. And third, and lastly, my last point is that the suggestion that came forward from one of the presenters, that international aid engaging with IMF, World Bank, and other donor agencies should now be tied to performance index on different countries to see how they are implementing the gender issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We have a challenge here, and I'd just like to see what the mood is in the room. We have still 14 ladies who would like to take the floor. The session was foreseen to last until 12 o'clock. Do we have interpretation after 12 o'clock? No, we don't have interpretation until 12 o'clock. So, can I ask you then to be extremely concise, extremely short, in order to have as many people speak as possible? Thank you. With the orange jacket, please. 1 minute, please. Huh? After 1 minute, I will bang the thing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think, and I'm very sure you will not have to bang that, because my sister who has just spoken almost summarized everything I wanted to say. But for the purpose of avoidance of any doubt, I am Nekesa Barbara Owundo. I'm a member of Parliament and a minister from Uganda. The issue of women involvement in politics in Uganda is not a thing of yesterday. It started in the 1970s when we had women like Princess Bagaya as a minister. We had the first vice president in 1993. We now have a sitting woman speaker, Rebecca Kadaga. She was here, but she left this morning. And then we see that what has been an impediment is just a matter of traditional, cultural norms that has held most of the women out, and maybe the literacy levels, which things we need to really address. But the world is waiting to hear is going to come up with after this sitting. I would suggest that I want to suggest for us we have a declaration, a WIP 2013 declaration from this sitting on those things that we do agree on, for it to come out that this is now what we have agreed upon as a way forward, as a course of action after here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, please, you.
Merci. Bonjour.
Good morning. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you, Madam Chair, for this forum, which is high quality with some very high level speakers. hopefully we'll be able to continue this later on. I'm from Lebanon, from the Lebanese Parliament, and unlike you were saying, we in the public sector in Lebanon have actually managed to achieve a great deal in the field of culture, education, medicine, trade and economic and legal affairs, even though we haven't got judge parity between men and women. In terms of politics, we are just 4 out of 128 members. That's still very low. However, the way in which things are developing in the country is positive. Women are being able to express themselves. People are thinking more than ever before about having women in politics. That's an extremely important development because previously women had never been considered important in the field of politics. So there is positive points to be drawn despite all of the negative publicity and for this low level of representative women in Parliament. The speaker is cut off. Apologies, but you've already elapsed your speaking time. I'm sorry about that. Could I continue, says the speaker? I just wanted to say that we are now going to implement a quota for women in politics. Even though I'm against this, I think it is important to get the right level of women in politics. So I'd like to thank you very much for the forum to encourage us to get involved.
Thanks very much, and I'm really sorry to have to cut you off like this. We just want to hear as many of you as possible. That's why we need to be so concise. I have an incredible long list, and I tried to go in the order of how I saw you. So don't worry, you all get the floor. And I know, and I think it's great that you're so impatient, but I would like to give as many of you the floor as possible. So now the lady from Iceland.
Hello. My name is Sigríður from Iceland, and I would like to thank you very much for this initiative. And I think this is a historical moment, and that we can really make change if we want to. And I would like to see that in the next meeting, we would have organized working groups where the members of parliaments were the speakers, and we would have certain themes for the groups where we could exchange views, experience and strategies. That is one proposal, but I think that would be very important for us to have a more formal forum where we speak to each other. But thank you for a wonderful global forum. It was a great initiative, and thank you especially, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Now, sorry, there is number 219. This is the lady with the red hat, please. Yes.
Thank you very much. I am Katrina Hansi-Himarwa from Namibia. Namibia is one of the African countries in the southern African part of about 2 million people. We are only 2 members that are attending this WIP from our country. One that I wanted to suggest through the WIP is that we should use our political parties or be supported by WIP to influence our political parties to amend and to make sure through their constitutions this 50-50 is legislated. That has been done by our ruling party back home in Namibia just during our elective congress that we had in December, and we got it right that at all party structures, according to our constitution, there shall be a 50-50 representation, meaning if in the party the president is a man, the vice president must, or either the top 2 must be women and the bottom 2 must be men. It can be either way. That has been done in Namibia. Currently we are busy to amend the Electoral Act to make sure that it
efforts of the change in the party constitution. The next thing is just to cement what my sister here in front said, that let's create branches in the regions or chapters so that we would be at smaller scales be able to do the same that we are doing at the global. And my proposal, finally, the next global forum must be in Namibia. We are able to host it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, please, you, number 7.
Thank you very much. My name is Honorable Ifaka Emilia, Deputy Speaker from the Parliament of Cameroon. I want to add my voice to those of my colleagues who preceded me to say congratulations for this conference that you've brought us together to share ideas. However, I want to say that in my country, Cameroon, first of all, from one woman that was elected in Parliament in 1960, we are 56 today out of 180. So I think we've made great strides, and we do not have female constituencies. So these are women competing on equal platform with men. So we moved from one woman in 1960, and today we have 56 women in Parliament out of 180. One thing that I want to say is advocacy. You know, politics requires time and money. And with the prevailing situations in the world today, the limited resources women have, they prefer to channel them towards meeting basic needs such as feeding, healthcare, and so on for their children. Women, you know, they humanize politics, they bring in fairness into politics, but how do they move on without finances? Where we are as parliamentarians, what are we doing to help our sisters who want to come into Parliament to meet up with this financial challenge? So it should be one of the challenges that we should take up as women in Parliament. And we are waiting to see you come to our respective countries to hold these meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very important point indeed. Lady behind you.
Thank you, Chair, Madam Chair. I would like to express my appreciation for arranging this forum to put together women power and to empower other women of the world. However, I would like to also show my discomfort for the fact that Arab women were not strongly represented in this forum as speakers. The Arab world is going through a fierce struggle, and women in that struggle is caught, and she is suffering the most. Women fighting in the Arab world is going through painful delivery. They are struggling through all walks and fields of life. There are prominent leaders and fighters for women's rights across all the Arab world. Their stories are inspiring and their experiences are different, and they can be examples to follow. That is why their voices should be heard in international platform, for with the help of the international women power, the Arab women will be able to be in decision-making positions and actively participate to rectify situations in the Arab world. Thereby, when war pressure in this planet is minimized, life will be better enough everywhere. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And now to lady on...
Thank God you wrote everything down.
No, over there. On 111, please, yes, you, with the white blues.
Good morning or good afternoon, all of you. My name is Ibtisam Hijris. I'm from Kingdom of Bahrain. I'm the first woman have been elected in Bahrain by voting. I'm happy today to be with all our sisters from all over the world, and I would like to thank the organization for all what makes us together today to share all our feels, to share our experience, to share our thoughts together. And I'm sure we're going to end up with a good agenda for all of us to help all the women all over the world. The women all over the world, we need to put our hand together. We don't want things to be written only and not to be taken in action, immediate action, to help the women. My suggestion today, I want to say, I've been elected, I've been registered as the first woman been elected to at the parliament, and thanks God, today we are 4 ladies at our parliament, and we have proved to our country and to all over the world that a woman can reach by voting. A woman can do a lot for her society. I have a suggestion today for WIP Forum to run a training workshop and courses to further upgrade the skills of the parliamentarian women around the world, so they can play a model role.
Please come
in their
to an
country,
end. Excuse me.
To help building more confidence of the society and women, and help to be elected them.
Thank you very much for that concrete proposal. Thank you. Thank you. And now the lady behind you, please.
Thank you. I am Senator Khalida Parveen from Pakistan. Before that, I was an elected member of National Assembly. First of all, I congratulate you to organizing such a great event, where we got a chance to meet, interact, and share our views and issues of women with our fellow parliamentarians from the globe. I just want to add that I think this productivity event should have a positive impact in and outside the parliament. Each representative who is attending this event not be stopped here. Its result seen in Parliament in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being precisely 1 minute. Fantastic. Now, the lady over there, please.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much indeed, and congratulations on organising this event that brings together women from all over the world. We've got a real tribal mosaic here, but it makes us realise that there isn't one single recipe or solution to deal with our situations. I'm Fatma Rabi. I'm representing the Arab Parliament, and even speaker's microphone has been lost. Even speaker's microphone, please. So we've also seen good progress in Bahrain, for example, and we really want to congratulate those women there. They're extremely competent, and there are other women who have fought hard for democracy and equality in their countries. Look at Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, for example. Then there's also in the situation in Libya, for example. There are conflicts there, but women are fighting hard there too. And we hope that one day we will get our full rights, because we've seen the experience of women who've come out on the front line. You know, when there have been terrorist acts in Tunisia, it was the women who took to the streets and had the courage to protest, and that really gives us hope. It shows us that in each woman there is a real awareness of what needs to be done. They're responsible for looking after their children, and they defend their children, and that's really what gives us hope for the future. I have an awful lot more to say, but I'm afraid we'll have to stop.
La première conférence.
This is just the first kind of conference like that we're having now. We'll have another opportunity to speak about these things again, but unfortunately time is really pressing.
For you, please.
Thank you, Silvana. I really appreciate what women did in these 3 days. We also got lots of emotions. Now, I think that between 2 global meetings, what have we got to do? There are lots of regional parliamentary assemblies, and I think we need to strongly cooperate within these parliamentary assemblies, and regional cooperation is even more important. So I beg of you and I appeal on you to keep closer together, to exchange not only successes but also failures. We have to learn from our failures, because they will help us to avoid what was done in some other place. And I think that we need to bring more women to political parties. That is the cornerstone to empower more women as leaders in politics. Second, much more attention should be concentrated on rural areas and women who have much more problems. Thank you very much, and I am from Albania because I forgot to say it in the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, yes, to you, please.
Buenos días, mi nombre.
Good morning. My name is Angeles Carmenes, and I'm responsible for gender equality in the Spanish Parliament. Just very briefly, I'd like to congratulate you and make a proposal. We are participating in economic fora, and we've seen that consumer patterns in all of our families are influenced by women, the way in which our children eat and so on. We have a participative approach in the economy of all of our countries. Without women, economic development and economic activity would simply not be possible. So my proposal is at the next conference we should have a specific focus on women in the economy, and we should invite members of Parliament, women members of Parliament, to discuss this matter together with men, but we need to discuss all of the ideas, the proposals and the different problems that we've heard in the various different languages and cultures. These issues are very similar from one place to another in the world.
Very much. Please, number 251, please.
Thank you very much. This is Aleka from Namibia.
No, it's the lady behind you. Sorry, the lady behind you. Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much indeed. And greetings from Latin America, from Ecuador. Greetings to you here at this event. In Ecuador, we have drastically changed the macho, colonialist and patriarchal society. We, since 2010, have a new constitution according to which women are enjoying proper rights as well, and we have more women in Parliament today, and they're actually under the age of 33 of them that we have there. So what this has meant is that the idea of violence, domestic violence and gender violence, has now been put back onto the political agenda at a high level. So I'd like to congratulate you on the organisation of this event, but there are challenges that we have to face for the future. In Latin America, you know, we have to think about the special context there. We're not just thinking about Europe and Asia. We have to think about Latin America too. We're very much part of the global scene now, and that means that we should have regional meetings as well. And as such, we'd also like to offer ourselves as hosts for a future conference in Ecuador. Thank you.
I am so sorry. I really have to say that. I'm extremely sorry. But we have still, again, more and more women wanting to take the floor, and we have no more time. And we were able to have more flexibility of the interpreters for a bit more time, which I think is a round of applause for them. Thank you so much for all the work. We have people who want to take the floor for at least another half an hour. I am so sorry, but we cannot do that. I am really sorry, because I'm really impressed by all the contributions you make. We received more than 40 pages also with suggestions. So if I may, I wrap up and try to take the points which have been made several times by you. First, for me, extremely good news. Everybody wants a next time. Everybody wants that we convene again. Is that true? Great. So we'll be all working towards that, and this means we will find a good place to convene next time. I think it's important to always go to a different country, to a different parliament, to see where we can go. I also understood from many contributions what you said and also what's written, that you would like regional meetings or maybe on topics, contributions, working groups between two summits, between two big meetings, so that we then can take the essence of the smaller meetings and bring it to the global level. this is something we will also try to accommodate. Also, I understood that you think we have to have a regular exchange with documents, with information, with initiatives taken in your countries, and to use an internet platform for that. I think it would make sense to see what already exists, where can we cooperate, and also create our own platform. It's something that has to be looked at in the next few months. Also, one suggestion that was made in one of the written contributions, that participants could contribute a fact sheet about their country and share it with the other participants in order to give some background information. Criticism that was mentioned is that we need translation in all parts of the conference and in more languages than the 3 languages. I think it's important to make clear in advance which languages are needed so we can try to accommodate that, because some delegations also said they could have brought their own interpreters. So that's a logistical, a structural point that we take up and also try to facilitate that for next time. Also, and this is something that also this last session shows, there is a need for more time to discuss with each other, to have more time to engage in discussions, exchange experiences, exchange points of view, and come to maybe also joint positions that we then can take forward to the outside world. What I would suggest now is that we summarize all that, send it to all of you, summarize what you gave us as written contributions, and then get your feedback again on it in the next few weeks, next few months. My team is already getting pale in the back of the room, I understand, extremely hard-working people, that we will send it to you and ask again for your comments in this way to get this a really dynamic process. And let me say one final word. I am so grateful, so thankful to you that you took the effort, the financial, the time, the logistical to come here and participate. This would not work without you. And this is something that I really would ask you to do. If you go home now in your parliaments and talk to your colleagues about this experience, that this is a network that can only live if the several knots in this network are really there. Only then regional meetings are possible. And that you make this also your project, your own mission, your initiative, to bring together the female parliamentarians in your region and also connect this then with a global forum. And if I manage to enthusiase you for that, I don't know even if there's an English word, that you become enthusiastic about that, I think this would be the most important outcome of a conference like that, where for the first time ever so many female parliamentarians got together. Thank you so much for coming here. I would like now to say thank you to a few people. First of all, to our advisory board. Jodie Williams has been here all through the conference. Thank you so much for that. Many others have joined us for parts of the conference. That's also, I think, a strong sign that we have this participation. I would like to thank the lady next to me, Francesca Ratti, who is the Deputy Secretary General of the Parliament. Without her support, without her help, without getting the crucial people in the Parliament behind that project, all this would have not been possible. So a big round of applause for Francesca. And finally, last but not least, I would like to come my team forward here. Without these young ladies and gentlemen, all this wouldn't have happened. They have a huge sleep deficit. They haven't eaten properly in the last few days, few weeks maybe. And they put so much energy and effort into that. And I really am touched by this and would like to thank all of them. Thank you so much, all the team. Yeah.
So nice to meet you. Thank you for everything.
We have got, the positive was the money, but few have worked like it. That's good.
And now there's one lady missing on the team because she's at the technology desk. Because what we try to do during the conference is to capture pictures of the conference and put together a small film with which we finish the conference now. We hadn't have a chance to do a technical rehearsal because it's just been produced now. So I hope it all works out, but we can have it again downstairs when we have our final farewell lunch. So now we see a film about the meeting, and I wish you all a good journey and safe trip back home, and let's continue our important work together. Thank you so much.
Many years ago, the generations before ours first brought the voices of women to parliaments. They spread the voices of women throughout the world to institutions, businesses, cultures, healthcare, and many other vital parts of society. Today, everywhere in the world, there are voices demanding equality in order to overcome the limitations settled around us. We have come far, but we are not yet there. Here we are today, women in parliaments. We have gathered to discuss the pressing issues on the global agenda because we believe that women in parliaments have unique perspectives and experiences which still need a platform to be heard. But we also know that the day when the need for talk about gender equality and conferences such as ours cease to exist is the day we can finally celebrate, as our mission will then be complete. Today we must still justify, we must still demonstrate, we must still illustrate the inequality that exists in politics.
We are representatives of the people.
We are representatives of the people, no matter what their colour, origin or gender. We are accountable to the citizens who want good decisions made in their names, be it by a woman or a man. We are responsible for the generations to come. It is up to us to put our ideas into actions that will prove we are the rightful representatives of our generation. We must show to all the voices out there our capacity to lead and listen. It is our duty to make the voices of our generation heard, build upon their experiences and knowledge, and put them into action. This is the Women in Parliament's Global Forum.
We are advancing society.
We are advancing society.